Hello, and welcome back to the Traitors Expert. We are now delving into episode 2 of season 4 of the UK Traitors. And wow, this series has been so good. That Secret Traitors twist has really shaken things up. Because we've had our first banishment in this episode, and it completely changes the banishment. Normally we know exactly what they're going to say. Now, we don't know what they're going to say. They could be a faithful, they could be the Secret Traitor, and it's like a little time bomb that's waiting to explode. You know, it's really exciting waiting to find out who that Secret Traitor is. We're kind of put in the position of the faithfuls this time, where we don't know what's going to happen, and it does completely change the show, and it makes that banishment a lot more exciting. Because it's something I've been wondering about. Like, this is a really good twist for this series, but is it a good idea to carry this on? Like, does it break the show too much? Does it take too much power away from the traitors? Is it better as just a one-off and then we never come back to this? But that banishment was exciting, not knowing what Judy was going to say. So it's really difficult. We'll see how it progresses throughout the series. And I'm presuming the producers will also be watching that very closely to determine whether or not to do it again. But yeah, amazing. As far as like evidence for the Secret Traitor goes, there's less evidence in this episode. What I'm kind of more interested in is this growing theme of family in the series. We've had that family tree like poster come back to a couple of times now. They keep putting emphasis on it, and they've even included that conversation between Amanda and Rachel where they're talking about the family tree. And Rachel said something interesting then. She said, I think there's at least two, did she say? At least two connections, or I think there's a second connection or something. Which is interesting because, like, why would you jump straight to two? Does she know that there's at least one connection? Does she have a family connection in there? I don't know. It's just interesting that she said two. But that's something I want to talk about in this episode, is the family connections. Because they wouldn't just leave that conversation in there unless there was another like blood connection between people in the show. And that family tree as well, they wouldn't put that in if there was probably just one family connection. It feels like there's probably more than one. And the family tree has a Latin inscription on it. If you try and translate that Latin description, and I mean, to be fair, like, I've done this with the help of the internet. Supposedly, the top line of the inscription says something along the lines of, with those whom you trust as your own blood, the sharpest knives are often handed across the table by faithful hands. It's very interesting. The bottom line translates to, among close friends, the most hidden enemies lie in wait. Beware lest your trust become the cause of your ruin and destruction. Now that second line is a bit more generic. You know, beware of your friends, one of them could be a traitor, basically. That first line is very interesting. With those whom you trust as your own blood, the sharpest knives are often handed across the table by faithful hands. I feel like that's both hinting that there's more family connections in the show, and also that if there is a family connection, one of them might be a traitor. Because why are they saying don't trust your own blood? So that's really got my head kind of running. Like, there must be more families in this series. So, yeah, we've already had Roxy and Judy, of course. But I think there's more. I think they wouldn't still be hinting at it because they've already done the reveal of Judy and Roxy. So why would they still be hinting at it unless there's more? And Rachel proposed Reese and Amanda. And then Amanda jokes, oh yeah, he's my son. Now, it could be an amazing double bluff, and he is her son. I'm not so sure, because I've done a little bit of digging, and it looks like Reese has a different surname to her. But, and I want to bring up this image. So, this one. There we go. They do look very similar. Similar noses, similar chins, the eyes, they've got quite narrow eyes. Similar kind of eyebrows. Ears are a little bit different. But I think these two do look very similar. So maybe he's not her son, but maybe he's her nephew, is what I'm counting on. That's my little theory at this moment, because I think Rachel is onto something here. They do look very similar. It's a little like fun pet like hobby of mine, but like I do like trying to like pinpoint facial features in people and try to work out like what you've got from your mum and what you've got from your dad. These two, I think they are very similar. So I think Rachel's on the money on that. So they, I believe, probably are related somehow, and I'm going to guess, yeah, nephew and auntie. But when you look at the other players, I think there's some other people that look a little bit similar, and in particular, we have Jack and Matthew. Now, on first glance, they don't look very similar, but when you have them side by side like this, they do look quite similar. Similar kind of like strong jaws, nose, quite a big nose, similar kind of eyebrows and brow looks kind of similar. Even just the facial shape is very, very similar. I think these two could almost be like twins if they were like the same age. But I'm predicting that these two could be brothers, because Matthew on the right of the screen, he's 35. Jack on the left is 28. That kind of feels like a plausible age gap between brothers. And with a little help of Photoshop, I have put a pair of glasses and the same hairstyle on Matthew. So look at that. Now, come on. They look very, very similar. Like, when you put a pair of glasses on him and the same hair, that's the same person. I could be wrong. But even if you look, I'm just looking now at the facial hair. Even their facial hair is grown in exactly the same way. You know, like the little gaps and stuff like are very, very similar. I think these two are brothers, and you can take that to the bank. I could be wrong. They could just happen to look very similar by complete coincidence. But no, even the shoulders now. I'm looking at the shoulders as well. The shoulders very similar length. The neck is a similar kind of like length and thickness. I think, yeah. I'm telling you, these two are brothers. I don't even care. It's not even a possibility that they're brothers. Now, looking at everyone else, it's a bit hard to tell. There's not many like obvious like facial features that are similar. But I did just wonder about Maz and Faraz. Now, I don't really think there's many facial features that look similar. Kind of similar ears, like both their ears kind of go backwards a little bit. Similar noses, maybe. But like, for example, like their brows very different. Like Faraz's like eyebrows are much, much thicker. But then that could be something he's got from his mum, you know. So they could be father and son. I'm not sure if I fully see father and son though. I'm wondering more if this could be like a new connection between players that we've not really had on the UK series before, and maybe this could be a father-in-law and a son-in-law. Maybe Faraz is dating Maz's daughter. I could be completely wrong. I don't know much about either of their backgrounds. I've looked into where they live. I think Maz was from Sheffield, and then Faraz was from Middlesbrough, which are quite far apart. But people move, and actually, if you look at Roxy and Judy, Roxy on her like bio thing, it says she's from Amsterdam, whereas Judy is very like obviously from Doncaster. So people do move. Like Faraz, if he went to uni in Middlesbrough, he could have just put that as his like location. So those are my like biggest predictions for the family connections. I think I'm probably more on the money with Matthew and Jack as brothers, and Reese and Amanda as nephew and niece. Nephew and auntie. But we'll see. It could be someone completely different, because you know, you could be related to someone but not necessarily look like them, and you could not be blood related as well, and you could be like married into the family, and then obviously for those reasons you wouldn't look very similar. Obviously Roxy and Judy was fostered, so there are reasons why you wouldn't look facially similar. But I do think Matthew and Jack look very similar. Come on, like when you look at them side by side. Yeah. So that's my predictions on the family connections, and we'll kind of see what happens. But a couple of them I'm quite confident about. But yeah, so in general, I'd enjoyed the episode, and I think the series is still progressing nicely, and it is great having this mystery of who's the secret traitor. But we'll now go on to what I predict for the next episode. So, who do I think will be banished? I think it's really hard to say at this point. Ross still has a bit of suspicion on him. They could just kind of circle around on Ross because of the whole Nettie connection. I kind of feel like this might be a bit like Celebrity Traitors, where they just move on. I think they might just move on from now, leave Ross, keep him in. So then I think who will get voted off will very much come about in the next episode. I don't think there's any like clues right now. But who will be murdered? So the Secret Traitor shortlist is Maz, Reese, and Ben. It could be any of these three. These are some of the quieter characters we've got in the show at the minute. Most of them aren't getting a lot of screen time. I would probably rule out Reese, because I do think there's a family revelation coming for Reese. And a bit like Judy and Roxy, I don't think they would have revealed that family connection in episode 1 if Judy wasn't going to get banished in this episode. So I'm thinking, yeah, Reese is probably safe. I think they would have put the reveal in. I mean, there might not be a reveal, but they would have put the reveal in if he was going in the next episode. So I just think, yeah, Reese is probably safe. Maz and Ben, I think it really could be either of them. I mean, if I'm right that Maz could be connected to Faraz, then maybe he's safe too. But that's the connection that I'm least sure about. Yeah, it really could be either Maz and Ben. I've just realised I didn't really talk about who got banished and who got murdered in the previous episode. I was a bit surprised by Nettie. I wasn't predicting that. I think they probably should have kept him a bit longer. I can understand the point of trying to frame Ross. But I think they'll move on from that. It might get him eventually, but I think I would have kept them both in. I think Nettie was a bit volatile and could have got herself banished eventually, and you want to keep in people like that. Like I say, I probably would have gone with Maz or James. I think James is probably quite an intelligent player. I know people are saying he's throwing out lots of different ideas, but at least he's contributing. Yeah. So it was interesting with the chosen A. But I can understand the play that's going on. But it could be interesting if Ross has been the secret traitor, because he did say something about Nettie's a liability. So he might have done like an Alan Carr, Jonathan Ross, and just gone for the person that he wants to get rid of. Like, not even thought, oh, that's going to look too suspicious. Just thought, no, I want rid of her. I'm going to put her to the shortlist. That could have happened. We'll wait and see. And yeah, that Judy got banished. I think it was obvious that's where it was going. Yeah, I'm just happy she wasn't the secret traitor, because I think there was a strong chance she was the secret traitor. And that just would have been really, really sad if the first banishment was the secret traitor. So yeah, it's a shame as well, because I think she's a good character. Like, she's quite charismatic and stuff. So it's a shame to lose her. But yeah, that felt like obvious that she was going to go. But yeah, that's my predictions for the next episode. And as far as the secret traitor goes, I think we still need to wait for more evidence. Currently, I'm ruling out Roxy now. I started to think it was probably going to be her. I think there was a good chance. And then the family tree thing really made me think it could be her, because we only know about one blood connection at the minute. Technically a family connection. I've said that so many times this episode. They were the only one we knew about. And I just feel like that poster's hinting that if there are two people that are related still in the show, one of them will be a traitor. Yeah. So then I started thinking Roxy was possible. But in all of her interviews, she's saying things which a traitor wouldn't say. So, for example, she spoke about Sam, and she said, if he is a faithful, da 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 da. if she's the secret traitor, she would know if he's a faithful or not, because she knows who the three traitors are and she knows that she's a traitor, so she would know that he's definitely a faithful. But then this is where it comes into like the meta part of the show, which is the secret traitor in their interviews segments. Are they speaking as if they're the secret traitor, or are they lying, essentially acting, performing in the interview segments as well to kind of trick the audience? And supposedly on Richard Osman's podcast, he like spoke to one of the producers, and the producer said the secret traitor is acting as the secret traitor in the interviews. So they are saying what a secret traitor would say. And then they're kind of editing around that. So if that's the case, then I'm ruling out Roxy. If what they've said about that is true, then yeah, I don't think Roxy is the secret traitor, because, like I say, she would know if Sam is a faithful or not. Yeah, so I'm ruling Roxy out, and I'm still leaning towards Fiona. I don't know, it just something about her. Like they said, she feels confident. She had like a little mess up in the first episode where she said she thought they were putting the coffins in the graves of the people they wanted to save, not kill. That was kind of interesting. It felt a little bit like put on, like she was pretending, a bit like sort of Linda from the last series. Yeah, I'm still leaning towards her, I think, on the whole. But there are definitely a couple of contenders. I think that Ellie, the psychologist, is definitely possible. I think Ross is still possible. Like I say, he might have done a bit of a kind of double bluff and tried to get rid of Nettie just because he wanted to get rid of her. And Harriet is kind of in the background a little bit. I think she's possible. Currently, I feel like there's quite a few of them which I just don't see. They're a bit quieter. But then, like, as people have pointed out, like, it could be the quiet people that you're not seeing as much, and the producers might be deliberately trying to hide them in the edit a little bit, so you don't think it's them. Yeah. Whereas Fiona is someone they do seem to be pointing to a little bit. So the more she's pointed to, the more that, because they keep leaving in little suspicious lines that Fiona has said, the more they do that, the less I think it's her. But yeah. Episode 3 tonight. Can't wait. Let's see what happens. Let's see if there's more evidence. Let's see if they get the secret traitor. I'm sure there's going to be a good cliffhanger this, like, tonight's episode, you know, to go into the next week. So, yeah. Can't wait. And thank you for watching. I've kind of done this as a bit of like a streaming setup, so it's like quicker to get the episodes out. I want to try and get the episodes out as quick as possible, which is why like I'm recording on like a dodgy webcam. But yeah, like, it's been great to see people watch the first episode, and I hope you keep watching. I've also put this as an audio podcast on Spotify, and it'll be on a few other podcast platforms as well. So I'll put a link to that, like, in the comments somewhere or in the description. But yeah, thanks for watching, and like, yeah, it's great, and I love seeing everyone's like theories as well, like in the comments. Like, it's so exciting. Let's see what happens. Yeah, can't wait. Bring on episode 3. See you in a bit.